The loving couple slowly navigated through the tall grass, holding hands and gazing at each other with adoring eyes. They were so engrossed in their moment that they didn't notice when they stumbled upon something unusual. The girl let out a startled scream and stepped back. The guy instinctively moved forward, ready to defend his beloved, but there was no threat. A horse lay in the dense grass nearby. More accurately, it was the remains of a horse, as what was left could hardly be called an animal. Its thin skin was tightly stretched over its ribs, making it seem as though the bones were on the verge of breaking through, desperate to escape. Strange dried crusts covered the body and flies hovered around with unsettling curiosity. The sight of the animal was grotesque. "Poor thing!" the girl exclaimed, her voice breaking the eerie silence of the surrounding nature. The moment her words echoed, the previously motionless body of the horse began to stir. With it, the hair on the lover's head shifted in an unnatural way. A second later, the shore erupted with a collective cry of horror. The couple dashed away from the horrifying discovery, halting on a dirt road as they tried to regain their composure. Although no one was pursuing them, the panic set in and they had the space to think clearly. "It's alive!" the girl whispered in shock. "It's alive, but it looks like it's dead," the guy replied, trying to make sense of the situation. "But it's moving. I need to take another look. Maybe something's eating it from the inside." The girl shrugged her shoulders, urging her knight onward while she remained behind, waiting for the results of his examination on the road. She didn't want to witness the beast being devoured. However, the guy soon confirmed that there was no one else in the area besides the horse, and it was definitely still alive. As he approached, the horse turned its head slightly and emitted a faint snort. The animal was struggling to move, yet its bony sides heaved with labored breaths. Its eyelids fluttered open, seemingly trying to focus on the person who had come near, but a strange red film obscured its pupil. The lower lip hung awkwardly, failing to fully cover its mouth, and while its legs and tail remained still, its ears occasionally twitched, but this could be mistaken for the play of the wind. The horse looked completely exhausted. She clung to life with all her might, but was hopelessly losing. The guy looked around. He couldn't understand how the horse got here. The grass around was not trampled, as if the animal had always been lying here. The man walked away, thought again, and returned to the girl, telling about his observations. "It doesn't matter how she got here," the interlocutor waved it off. "What? They kept a couple of horses. People from the surrounding area come there to ride horses. We managed to contact the owners quite quickly. They understood little from the confused explanation of the two lovers, but promised to come quickly. Soon, on the road to the river, the dust began to hum under the wheels. The guy and the girl waved their arms welcomingly. A car with a trailer for transporting horses stopped next to them. People were very surprised when they found the animal within sight. And when they were brought to the injured horse, the man and woman were horrified by the condition of the animal. There was no question of the horse entering the trailer on its own. We could only hope that she would live to see the vet. 4 people could not lift and drag the emaciated but still heavy ungulate. The guy had to run to his street and gather neighbors and friends for help. Together, the men lifted the exhausted body, slipped a piece of cloth under it, then each took hold of the edge of the cloth and lifted it above the ground. The horse opened its eyes in fear and weakly twitched its hoof. She didn't have enough strength for more. The animal was dragged into the trailer. The high door slammed shut. The wheels rolled gently, taking the poor thing to a new life. Near the stall, assistants and a veterinarian were already waiting for them, whom the new owners managed to call. On the way home, the men also carefully removed the horse from the trailer. The doctor immediately fluttered around the patient, examining, feeling, and taking tests. Meanwhile, the called police arrived. They accepted a statement of cruelty to the animal, witnessed the testimony of the doctor, the new owners, and volunteer assistants. But they warned that most likely the previous owner of the horse will not be found, so you should not count on a fair punishment. The veterinarian gave the horse injections, treated the scabs on the skin, and placed an IV. Volunteers helped move the animal to a free stall. The horse turned out to be severely emaciated, which is why the doctor was not sure that it would survive. But it was worth trying to pull the animal from the brink between life and death, so they took the horse seriously. The main problem was that she was not eating and had difficulty drinking water. This was a consequence of a skin infection. The parasitic mite caused inflammation in various places throughout the croup. Bubbles appeared on the affected areas which burst, turning into crusts. All this was accompanied by terrible itching. The horse itched itself on everything it could reach and tore off scabs. The disease completely took away his appetite, drying up the slender, strong beast to the point of a skeleton. But unfortunately, this was not the only problem. The horse's third eyelid is swollen and red. The doctor took samples, but assumed the worst result, a tumor. This could be corrected with surgery, but only when the animal got back on its feet. There were also problems with my teeth, and there was no point in delaying treatment. For several weeks, the stall turned into a field hospital. The veterinarian visited his patient every day. We managed to get rid of the tick, and the scabs on the skin gradually disappeared. Dental treatment helped the poor girl eat independently. During the first days, vitamin mixtures were poured into the horse via a dropper and watered from a teat like a foal. But soon she gained more strength to feed herself, although people still had to support her head. The horse had little understanding of what was happening around. At first she felt so bad that she didn't want to live. She lay there and waited in the wings, but stubborn people did not leave her alone. The new owners came several times a night to check on the unfortunate woman or change the IV. Soon, the horse already recognized the voices. She stretched her muzzle towards the hands of her owners and shuddered at the doctor's energetic muttering. The eyes hardly distinguished anything around. We had to focus on the sound, the touch of caring hands. Soon the horse was able to independently roll over from side to side or raise its belly. I already had enough strength to hold my head and whole body in a relatively vertical position for several hours in a row, but I couldn't get to my feet. This frightened the patient. The horse habitually bent its legs but could not lean on them as if they now belonged to someone else. The veterinarian shrugged his shoulders. He said that the animal was too weakened and had not used its limbs for a long time to jump up and run forward. It took physical exercise to recover, and that's where the problem arose. The horse had to be lifted off the ground, supported, and pushed for each new step. And she weighed a lot. The ribs no longer glowed as much from under the skin. Care and nourishing food helped get rid of painful thinness. This pleased the owners, but caused difficulties. In order to lift the animal, at least 8 people were needed. The owners came up with a structure made of a blanket and straps that held the horse upright in the stall. But walking outside still required strong hands. Fortunately, many neighbors and friends were inspired by the poor girl's story and came to help in the evenings. At first, the horse's legs were placed manually, but regular training gave results. After a few days, the animal began to move its limbs with difficulty on its own. It turned out, frankly, badly, but it was already a tangible result. The horse was tired, as were the people, but none of them were ready to give up. Months of training yielded results. The animal was able to stand independently and then move slowly. No one was in a hurry for the poor thing. The owner took her out a few steps and left her to rest in the stall. But the horse itself was tired of its forced seclusion. She happily sniffed the spicy smells of herbs on the street and dreamed of running at a trot through the meadows. Soon, the veterinarian announced that the animal was strong enough for eye surgery. This turned out to be not too scary for the animal, since the tumor still covered most of the eye, not giving any visibility. The horse was loaded into the trailer again and taken for a long time to the clinic where the operation could be performed. The doctor removed the affected tissue. After the operation, the horse's eyes hurt badly, but I couldn't stop looking around. Objects that remained vague in memory now became clear. The animal saw its new owners for the first time, the stall and the paddock where it walked during training. Eye drops have been added to the usual procedures and exercises. The horse endured everything without complaint. She behaved quietly, listened to people carefully, as if understanding every word. The animal turned out to be very calm and intelligent. The owners couldn't be happier with their new family member. Soon the horse became so strong that it began to be released into a spacious paddock with 2 other inhabitants of the stable. The new girl quickly found a common language with the old-timers. She managed to tame the ardor of the young stallion and sedately eat freshly cut grass with his mother. Many months after arriving at its new home, the horse looked nothing like that skin-covered skeleton that was about to give up the ghost any minute. The fur glistened on the sloping sides, and the not completely overgrown areas on the rump and slow, careful movements reminded of the experience. The owner was in no hurry to dress the horse, but soon the horse kicked its own hoof and snorted at the sight of the saddle. She sadly accompanied her neighbors as they gave adults and children rides on their backs. One sunny day, the man took the new girl outside and began putting on the harness. The horse neighed joyfully. The owner's weight turned out to be a bit heavy for the animal, but no one was in a hurry to complain. They left the yard and made a small circle around the field. At that moment, the horse felt the happiest in the world. Despite all the pain and hopelessness she experienced, there were now loving people nearby. The horse knew for sure that now he would not be abandoned, no matter what happened.